It is now my immense pleasure to welcome Marion Carré. She is an entrepreneur, teacher, speaker, author, and artist. She heads the very innovative company Ask Mona, and her work explores the intersection between art, artificial intelligence from multiple perspectives. She will also be presenting her book that she will be signing at 12:15 right at the exit. So please don't hesitate to reach out to her. And I also want to thank Anne Sheriff for her speech. Thank you very much.
I like to walk when I'm talking, so this is why I'm going to take this. So thank you so much for welcoming me today with you. I'm very happy to be here. And as mentioned by Carl, I have various hats when talking about artificial intelligence that I'm exploring through various perspectives, but today I'd like first to share with you my journey exploring the intersection of art and artificial intelligence. And everything started almost 10 years ago for me. I was a 21 years old student at the Sorbonne, and I started to see the opportunity to bring together art and artificial intelligence. And for you, it can look like a reasonable choice today. Like, of course, art and artificial intelligence, there is a lot of things to build together. But at this time, 10 years ago, people were looking at us like, why? Why would you like to bring together art and artificial intelligence? What's the point of it? And our vision with my co-founder, Valentin Schmid, was that when the usual cultural experience is that you have this kind of one-size-fits-all experience. When you walk inside a museum, everybody gets exactly the same contents, even if we all have a different sensitivity, curiosity, knowledge, or background, we all have access to the same information that are bring to us on the labels or on the website, the application. And we wanted people to be able to actually talk with artworks. And this is why we choose this name of Ask Mona, referring to the Joconde, because we wanted people to be able to walk and ask any question they have to artificial intelligence. Because sometimes you have this issue of symbolic access to cultural organization. When you're not used to go inside museums, you don't know exactly how much time you should spend in front of each artwork, or you might be feared to ask kind of silly questions, so you keep them for yourself and you don't completely understand what you see. And we had this vision of thinking that AI could be a way for people to ask any question they have and explore and learn at their own path. So that was the vision 10 years ago, but at this time, AI was not the AI we have today, so we started to build our own natural language processing model and train it for people to be able to ask questions they have about artworks. And we had I would say, we were lucky enough to have already big cultural organization following us. So from the very beginning, we also had the support of the French Ministry of Culture. And this is how we started years by years working with more and more cultural organizations until we had this big generative AI wave that came to us. And it's funny because for us it happened at a point where we're like, okay, let's stop saying people that we are doing artificial intelligence. It doesn't matter anymore. Let's just explain that we developed this tool where people can ask any question about art. And then we see the rise of generative artificial intelligence, and suddenly everybody wants to make generative AI. So that was quite strange for us because we were here at a time where people don't really care about it. And suddenly everybody wants to do generative artificial intelligence. And for us, the challenge was with this technology was to be able to use it as a way to still be a trustworthy tool in museums, because when you're like a big institution such as the Louvre, the Orsay Museum, or whatever, you don't want to invent information that you will share with your visitors. You need to have quality information because museums are trustworthy places, and there are various studies each year that are showing it. So for museums, it's important to have a high level of trust. And so this is why we started to build technologies that leverage generative artificial intelligence, but in a way that can be fed by museum knowledge, so they can share it with their visitors, but in another way. So it makes us able to work with cultural institutions worldwide. Since 10 years, we have launched 200 projects with cultural organizations in more than 14 countries. So North America, Europe, of course, Middle East, and Asia. And so today, what we are building is the kind of full visitor journey. So from the before the visit, how can you inform visitors about your cultural organization, to what happened during the visit, after the visit, how you keep in touch with them, and also training museum staff. So now I'd like, because everything I shared seems a bit theoric, so I'd like to share with you concrete examples of projects we built lately. So the first one is something that happened in Grand Sancerrois in France. So this is a touristic organization that wanted people to be able to just say what they hope to see while coming, so they can share it with their own words. Like, for example, I love horses, and I'm here for 2 days. And so the AI is leveraging touristic data to be able to share a program, and a personalized program with visitors, with various recommendations of places to see and to go with live data. So that's the first example of what we can do before the visit. I have another one now during the visit, and so this one is happening inside the museums. It's been almost 2 years that we launched this project with the Musée National des Beaux-Arts de Québec. And so just to show you the short video before I'm explaining it. Oops, here is actually, it looked like the video is not working, but I can describe it so you can imagine. So here, the people you see on the image, they can move around the artwork, take their phones, and take a picture of an artwork and ask any question they have. And what is interesting here is that you can ask questions with your own words. So for example, a child will have a different question from an adult or like an expert about some topic, and the AI is here to answer whatever question you may ask to the visitor. So that's something we did at the museum, at the Musée des Beaux-Arts de Québec, and we also leveraged the same kind of experience at the Versailles Palace lately. So it's a project we launched in partnership with them and with OpenAI. And so here you can imagine the same kind of experience. You're walking inside Versailles Garden, you see a QR code, you scan it, and you can talk to the statues in the garden. So I also have a video, and I hope this one is working. No, I'm not lucky this morning. So here it's the same kind of thing. You have to imagine that all statues, they have their own voices. So for example, the Bassin de la Tonne is not talking in the same way as the Rhône, which is another statue. And each of them share their own history. So it's you can have live conversation with them. So for example, you can ask like, oh, can you explain me like why are you looking this way, or like who's your creator, or those kind of questions. You can interrupt them, and the AI is going to answer and to share with you information. And the way we build this experience is that we work with curators. And I would say that curators, when we go to them to see, hey, we have this kind of AI project, they can be really skeptical at the beginning, being like, are you sure it's going to work? So we work with them, and they provide us a lot of interesting information about the statues, so information from various archives and various documentation they have about it. And then we put it into the system, and the AI is able to retrieve this information to answer about visitors' questions. And sometimes people can have a question that you wouldn't expect them to ask. So for example, what's the price of this statue? And what is really interesting is that as we might have this information in the archive, we can say, oh, this statue, we still have the invoice, and we can say it cost that amount of money, and it was built at this time, and this kind of thing. So we can really feed people curiosity. And that's why I'm saying that at Taskmona we are leveraging artificial intelligence at the service of curiosity. But we can also have the flexibility to answer questions that are out of the scope. So for example, if someone is asking, okay, who's going to win the next soccer match? We can say, oh, soccer is not why we're here, but did you know that? And so we work on this kind of conversation design to be able to bring back people to the core of the experience without being frustrated. So we can see that there is a lot of people using it and engaging with it. So and it also has a big media coverage and attention. So that's another example of a project. And so you might be wondering now, so no video, sorry. Okay, but what's the impact of all of it? And so what's interesting for us is that some of our partners, they have done studies or focus group with their visitors, and we had some key learning out of it. So for example, about qualitative key learning we had from the Quebec team, they say that people shared that they feel more comfortable to ask questions they might not ask to visitors. We also learned that, for example, people were sharing that they learn valuable insights and information using the AI assistants. Some of them also show that it increased visitor loyalty, so people saying that it makes them want to come back to the cultural place. And also something interesting here is that people all the time think, okay, AI is for younger generations. And some studies have shown that actually not necessarily. We have people of all kind of ages using those kind of tools and saying that it's something easy to use for them. So that's very interesting. And it's, yeah, because sometimes with artificial intelligence, we could have those kind of cliche. And of course, when we built Taskmona, it's something that we had in mind because we wanted to leverage the tools people are using to be able to bring information to them. So this is why, for example, we use visual recognition, because we know that people in museums, they take picture and want to keep a memory. So we wanted this behavior to be an open door to explore more information. And it's the same with using the phone. Usually it was to be able to go on Wikipedia or on Google. Today people also go on ChatGPT, and here we want them to be able to have those kind of behavior, but using a tool that has been built by the museum and filled with its data. So what's next for Taskmona, you might be wondering, and actually we started to explore some other use case, which is to make, because we were thinking, okay, what we know to do is to be able to give a voice to objects, and for the moment I've been talking about cultural objects, if we can put it this way, but artworks and statues, but we soon discovered that it could be relevant for other kind of objects. And we have various people who came to us, and for example, one of them is the French National Post Service, and we just launched with them this first talking stamp. So it's a stamp with this beautiful design of Churchill, And the goal of, so you have on it a QR code, and when you scan the QR code, you can talk to an artificial intelligence that has been fed with a biography about Winston Churchill, and the AI is here to talk about Winston Churchill life. So it's not, you're not talking to the AI of Winston Churchill, you are talking about with an AI that is explaining his life and everything he has done. And that's very interesting because when building it, I actually myself learned a lot of things about him because he did a lot of very, very interesting things out of just being like a political leader. He was also a writer, painter, and everything, but you can talk to the AI to learn about it. So that's about Ask Mona, and with this journey of almost 10 years exploring the intersection of art and artificial intelligence, at some point I wanted to take a step back and to explore the impacts of this technology. And maybe it could be the moment to say a few words about my background, because usually people tell me like, oh, okay, so you're working on AI, so do you have like an engineer degree or something like that? And I'm like, actually, I don't. I come from the Sorbonne, and I mostly have this kind of human science point of view on artificial intelligence, what we can call digital humanities. And I think it's important today to have in artificial intelligence various talents that are not only people building the system itself, but also people thinking about its impacts. And so that's the kind of thing I wanted to explore, so I published various books. The previous one was about a woman who was a pioneer in the computer and artificial intelligence, and that has been completely forgotten. And it's a book to answer, to try to get why it's happened and what's the place of women also in the history of technology and computers. And so for this new last book that I can translate as the moving walkway paradox in English, I wanted to take a step back on how we use artificial intelligence in our daily life, because we've seen this technology being in the hands of everybody. And for me, I use it every day in my professional life, but I started to see people such as my father, for example, who start to use it a lot. And my father, he's not a tech person at all. He's a retired man who barely has a LinkedIn account, but it's complicated for him. And he started to use ChatGPT a lot and to share with me his conversation with ChatGPT. So I was like, okay, what's happening with him? And I noticed that a lot of people are using it, and it's not something for just tech-savvy people today. And we can see also the level of adoption of this technology who's more quick than the adoption of internet. And so I wanted to take a step back to think on the impact of this technology on people's life. And I came with this moving walkway paradox that I will explain shortly here. And of course, you can learn more about it in the book. But my point of view is that we're at the crossroad of two ways of leveraging artificial intelligence. The first way is what I call the moving walkway, and I'm going to explain more about it. But I think it doesn't have to be this way, and we can choose another way to leverage this, which is what I call the treadmill way of using artificial intelligence. And it has something to do with a relationship with effort, because the moving walkway is a way to use artificial intelligence as a kind of autopilot. When we're looking for speed, we want to be more creative, and we start to leverage it in a way that can make us more and more dependent and lead to also content and cultural homogenization, and I'm going to talk more about it after. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can use it as a treadmill and as a way to think against ourselves and make tools that are more like respectful of the diversity and the plurality of ideas. So just to do a short journey now into the moving walkway paradox, but I won't say too much because you still have a lot of things to explore about it. So my first point of view on this issue was this matter of always being creative. You've seen this kind of thing, like think outside the box, and we always have this willingness of being creative, and while always being wanted to be creative, we have this issue of the lack of creativity. What's happening when we're not inspired, when we have those kind of writer's block, which is also called the leukozelophobia. And what I think is interesting here is that we always have look for tools to help us being more creative. It can be yoga, hypnosis, and today we have this new tool to help us being more creative, which is artificial intelligence. And that's something you can see in the catchphrase of those generative AI platforms. For example, on Gemini from Google, we have this catchphrase, which is chat to bring your ideas to life. And it's something that is really important here to say that, okay, AI can help us being more creative. And I wanted to think about, okay, but what kind of creativity? And it's a creativity that is more, I would say, productive, because you will spend less time wondering about something, you will be more efficient, have the right idea now, and it's a completely different perception of creativity. And you also have this willingness of being more quick, of speed, and it's something that is really here in the way we talk about AI, in the name of the AI model themselves. It's something that has been measured in all aspects of economy, and even on the artistic sector, that AI can help us being more creative. But today I think there is a first paradox about this willingness to be all the time more quick, because, for example, I love this image from Hartmut Rosa, and I'm going to stop on it, which is a relationship to writing letters. So let's say, like, I don't know, 50 years ago, we had to answer to 10 letters. It could take us like 2 hours. If today we have to answer to 10 emails, let's say it can take us only 1 hour. But the thing is that today we don't just receive 10 emails. I don't know for you, but you might receive 100 emails a day. And so actually the time you have saved is not materializing. And I'm afraid it could be the same thing with artificial intelligence. If we want to being as productive as the AI artificial intelligence, we won't be able to say, like, okay, let's save some free time to do whatever we want. We will just want to be more productive and to do more. And this willingness to leverage artificial intelligence in a way to be more creative and more to have and also more quick can also lead us to more dependency. And I think it's really interesting here to stop on the treadmill itself, the moving walkway, sorry, which is a technology that when it appeared, people were very skeptical about it. At the same time, fascinated and afraid. And people actually were fearing that the moving walkway could replace the human work, because we will use it all the time, so we won't be able to walk anymore. And so we see that today it's quite strange, because it's a technology we use every day without without asking ourselves questions, and we have this kind of habit to turn to the moving walkway. Even if it's not working, you will still want to engage with it, because you have this habit of thinking about what's the quickest way to be able to move into a train station, for example. And with artificial intelligence, we start to have the same. We want to be quick, so the quickest way is to use artificial intelligence. But in some way, it can lead to a kind of dependency if we start to externalize complex thinking to artificial intelligence all the time. And we also have this issue of the data training artificial intelligence, and it's a tool that is, I think it's really interesting to pause on the word tool, because when we say AI is a tool, of course AI is a tool, and it depends on how we use it. But saying AI is a tool can lead us to think that a tool is neutral. But AI is a tool that is not neutral in itself, because it depends on how it has been trained and built, and we have various studies showing us that there is cultural values that can be embedded in system. You also have some cultures that are completely erased, and it's the same thing with languages. And so this has an impact on the kind of output we can get out of the machine, and this leads to the trap of the moving walkway, which is standardization. And various studies have shown that when you're using artificial intelligence, you can be individually more creative, but collectively less creative, because everybody has ideas that are very close to each other. And it's like normal, because this is a probabilistic tool, so this is the reason why you can have this. But then it can lead to this kind of slope that we started to see online. So this is an illustration of it, which is those kind of low quality contents. It can be, for example, a report from your colleague that, from a formal perspective, is a validated report. But when you read it, you can see that it's kind of empty. It's lacking substance, and you start to think that, okay, it might have been generated by artificial intelligence. It's the same thing with the image or videos we can see online, and we can start to be flooded by those low quality contents, and if you relate too much on those tools, start to say all of us the same kind of things. But for me, and that's the reason I'm here today, this is not a fatality, and it's something that we can think in a different way and change the way we use artificial intelligence. And there is various ways of doing it. The first thing is on an individual perspective, stop thinking AI as this kind of tool that we just have to adopt the way it is. And we all the time talk about adopting AI, and I think this word itself says a lot, because adopting means using the way it is, whereas understanding means going a bit deeper inside it to have a sense of the strengths and the weaknesses of the tool from a technical perspective. And I think this is very important, to be able to have agency on it, and not just to be what I called consumers users, which means that we use it the way it is, we don't really understand how it works, and we are really like dependent on what we can do out of it. Whereas if we start to think about how it's been built, how it's been trained, it can give us more agency. The second thing is to be able to think about the way we delegate to artificial intelligence. And for me, there are 4 points that are important here. The first is to be able to have a prior expertise of what is being delegated. Because if you don't know how to do something on your own, it's difficult to evaluate that the AI has doing it properly. The second thing is to understand AI limitation, and the third thing is to be able to accept the time that is needed to work with artificial intelligence. And there is also something that I wanted to share with you, which will be my last point here, is the fact that we need to build artificial in the way that can preserve our agency. And I have various ideas here, which is about the fact that we need to be able to make them more diverse, reflecting more pluralistic ideas, and a lot of things that we can talk about later. So thank you so much for your attention today, and I hope to see you after the break.